All right, hope everyone's doing well this evening. I'm Clay Fussell. I'm the coordinator of Wake Tech's beer brewing education program. We're going to get started with our discussion this evening about our program and the craft brewing industry. All right, so again, as I said earlier, my name is Clay Fussell. I'm the coordinator of the beer brewing education program. It's really great to meet all of you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to join us this evening to talk a little bit about what Wake Tech's doing to help give folks a pathway to getting into the craft beer industry. So, a little bit about me to start things off. That's me in the front of the group there. That's on that picture. That is current commercial craft brewing class that we have running uh, this spring. Um, so a little bit about my history in the craft beer industry. Um, I used to work in a different industry. I worked in the environmental sector for several years out of college, and like many folks who are looking to get into craft beer, I had an established career, but was enticed by an introduction to homebrewing. And a lot of folks really find that a connection to making the product and a connection to beer through homebrewing. So after several years of homebrewing, I ended up finding out that Wake Tech had a craft brewing program, and at that time, it was just getting started in the 2014-2015 timeframe. I ended up taking the classes and did an internship both at Raleigh Brewing and Big Boss. And funny enough, I ended up working at both breweries over the next several years. I got a job first at Big Boss and cut my teeth, learned how to brew there, and then spent 5 years with Raleigh Brewing. While I was at Raleigh, I started to teach part time in the Wake Tech brewing program, and really found that I enjoyed teaching quite a lot. And when they were looking for a coordinator, that's when I stepped in a couple of years ago and took over the program full time. So on top of teaching and brewing, I've also been a consultant. I've worked with about 12 to 15 breweries to consult on everything from recipes to um, uh, brewery layout, design, starting a brewery, things like that. And through working at Raleigh Brewing, I worked with their sister company for a while, ABS Commercial, and worked with them to onboard breweries who are buying equipment from them. So I got to see a lot of folks from different backgrounds and different careers making their way into the brewing industry, especially through the lens of starting up. So a little bit more about the craft beer industry in North Carolina. I'm sure most of you are familiar with uh, how much this industry's grown and really how popular craft beer has become. But just to kind of capitalize on just the business side of that growth, we've gone from 200 breweries before 2019 to 430 in 2023. So even during the COVID pandemic lockdown and everything, craft beer was still continuing to grow. New breweries were still opening in North Carolina. And specifically, there's over 40 breweries in the Triangle area now. I believe the number's like 43 last time I checked. And there's about 20 to 25 breweries just here in the Raleigh, greater Raleigh area. Um, North Carolina is actually home to about 75,000 beer related jobs, so beer industry jobs that involves everything from retail and distribution, production, and many other jobs that we'll talk about in just a minute. So there's lots of jobs in North Carolina connected to the beer industry, whether they're directly involved with making beer or selling beer in some capacity. In North Carolina, there was about $3.8 billion in total wages from all those jobs. and that had a $12.8 billion total economic output. So on a whole, craft beer has a huge impact on the local economy in North Carolina. Um, Employs a lot of people and a lot of people from different backgrounds. I know we all tend to think of the brewing industry as being, bearded guys with beanies and flannel, and what we're finding is that obviously that doesn't represent everybody, and that doesn't represent everybody who likes craft beer. But you'd be surprised to see that regardless of what job it is, there's a whole host of folks that are working in this industry, especially um, people of different ages and walks of life coming into this industry from different careers and previous jobs. So one thing that I'll say before we get into talking about jobs a little more is don't discount your previous career and experience. And a lot of times people can translate what they've already been doing in their career into the brewing industry. So look at some of those jobs that we're talking about, of those 75,000 jobs in North Carolina. A lot of them are in retail. I think it's about a third of those jobs are in retail. And when we think about retail in the craft beer industry, I think the first thing we think about is tap rooms and bartenders. But there's also a lot of adjacent retailers like bottle shops and grocery stores. I think Lowe's Foods Beer Den is a great example of this kind of connection to the craft beer industry on the retail side. Um, we typically think about the folks working in a brewery from the production standpoint. A lot of people who get into our program want to become a brewer or want to work in production in some shape or form. They want to help make beer, right? And I think this is a really great and it's an inspiring part of the brewing industry is that craft of getting your hands on the ingredients and putting together something that someone else can enjoy. But there's a lot of other parts and pieces to getting beer to customers, getting beer into packaging, that involves a lot of different folks who maybe don't have their hands directly on the product. And so outside of jobs like brewer, assistant brewer, packaging technician, cellar hand, we have distribution jobs. Whether you're working for a self-distributing brewery or a wholesaler, there's jobs in sales, in merchandising, delivery drivers, draft technicians. Um, on the sort of services side of the industry, there's consulting like I've done and other types of consulting. There's obviously lots of events and festivals that cities put on that involve roles like event planning, event coordinating, even event staff and brand ambassadors. And then there's, like I mentioned, with distribution, you have roles like draft technicians. Those are going to be the folks who go to all the accounts and clean all the draft lines for those specific accounts. And often that's um, a really important job for a wholesaler or distributor. We also have vendors in the industry that are suppliers, so folks who supply ingredients. You have sales and production and yeast, hops, and malt. We even have some local maltsters here in North Carolina, the folks who make or process the malt barley for brewing. There's a couple here in North Carolina. There's one in Durham called Epiphany. There's one in Asheville called Riverbend, and another one called Carolina Malting Company, uh, somewhere in between the two. I can't exactly remember where it is. But in those supply chain related jobs, we have warehouse, fulfillment, sales, account management, lots of different avenues for folks to still be connected to craft beer without maybe putting on your boots and your overalls and getting on the brew stand, right? So there's a lot of other players in the craft beer scene that are involved that we don't always think about just because we are used to seeing that representation of a bearded flannel wearing craft beer uh, person, right? Um, so where do we find the experience? How do we gain the experience to get these jobs? And one thing that I'll say is that whether you're working in production or sales, distribution, anything like that, having a fundamental understanding of the brewing process is really, really important. So one of the things that we focus on in our program is teaching students how beer is made from the very simple process all the way through to the technical and scientific aspects of the methods of brewing, along with the ingredients, how they're put together, different styles of beer. And along with the ingredients and the other inputs, we have to also consider the cost. And this is going to be very important, whether you're a brewer and you're in sales or you're a taproom manager. Um, all of those things are really important to your job. You need to know how much things cost in terms of being able to properly price different styles of beer based on the ingredients used in them. You need to know how to properly present these products to customers and market them properly. We need to market beer in the right way to make sure we keep our customers happy with what we're selling. So having this strong knowledge of ingredients and styles and how beer is made is really fundamental, regardless of where you're working in the industry. And I would argue that even just being a bartender and having a really solid knowledge of how beer is made and the ingredients that go into it elevates your job and your customer's experience, and that you can provide as a bartender education to your customers, and that enriches their experience. That really adds a lot to their experience, whether they're coming to your tap room or bottle shop or what have you. If you're planning to work in production, if you're serious about working on the back of house side of brewing, things like mechanical inclination, having an idea of how to do simple plumbing or electrical work, a lot of problem solving is really, really valuable. And these types of skills are important because as a brewer, especially as a brewer in a small business, we have to deal with a lot of these problems on our own. We have to wear a lot of hats. We have to, deal with this stuff ourselves. We don't always have someone to call on to. And as long as it's within code, we have to do a lot of problem solving with plumbing, mechanical, electrical ourselves. And I would say that things like problem solving skills are going to apply to any kind of role in the brewing industry. That's a lot of our job, whether you're working in sales or management, working in production. You're coming up with new challenges. You're always trying to grow. As a small business is trying to grow, you're constantly in between the state um, of acquiring new accounts and growing your brand and reaching new territory, and that's always going to present new challenges. So one of the things that I'll say is really exciting about the craft brewing industry, along with that problem-solving challenge, is that things are always changing and always improving and getting better, and you're always moving towards growing your brand and reaching more customers and growing more territory. And so there really is a fun part to growing with a small business in that way. So where does Wake Tech come in? So our program really started focused on helping fulfill production jobs in the Triangle area and especially Wake County. So our program was built on understanding the brewing process and the inputs and outputs. As we've evolved over time, we've really incorporated a lot more of the business aspects of the brewing industry because we find that a lot of our students are in the process of starting a brewery. One day want to start a brewery. They may already work in the industry and they want to further their career or branch out and start their own business. And others are starting from the ground up. Other folks have no brewing experience and never home brewed. And so we realized that we had to take this program from a very fundamental and basic starting point. And by the end of 16 weeks of our main class, commercial craft brewing, you may have started off not knowing much about the craft brewing industry. By the end of it, you're going to know everything about the government agencies that oversee brewing, both in the state and federal government. You'll know everything about how beer is made, the four major ingredients, a good variety of those ingredients. You'll understand styles of beer. You'll understand off flavors and how to tell quality issues with beer. So even someone who's coming in with no knowledge, what we look to do is get you up to speed so that whatever entry point you're looking for in the brewing industry, um, we're sending you on your way. So commercial craft brewing is that class. That's our first sort of entry level class um, that is designed for anybody to come and learn about craft beer and maybe figure out exactly where they might fit in the industry. For folks who are looking to get some further education, maybe already in the industry or have taken our commercial craft brewing class, we have classes like the craft brewing laboratory and sensory analysis training to help folks to continue their education, help with advancement, help folks go from that packaging position to a brewer or from a delivery driver to a salesperson or sales to sales manager. Whatever we can do to help elevate your career and keep folks moving vertically upward through the industry. One of the things that we provide as part of our course offering is the professional certificate in brewing. And this is our commercial craft brewing class partnered with an internship. So if you complete the commercial craft brewing class, which is a 16-week, 96-hour class, it meets twice a week, usually on Tuesday, Thursday nights. Um, After completing that, you can sign up for the work-based learning internship. So this internship class requires a minimum of 120 hours of internship at a brewery. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like in just a minute. But that experience is what really helps to take everything we've learned in the classroom and our brewery setting and commercial craft brewing and apply it to an existing business, an existing brewery. Give students a chance to feel out what it is they want to do in the industry, where they fit in, um, and make their own goals and sort of write their own path for their education and building some skills in this industry. One of the interesting things that we do in commercial craft brewing is we have a small pilot brewing system over at Heyday Brewing right next to North Campus. And that's where we perform a lot of our brewing activities. So throughout class, while we have a lot of lectures in commercial craft brewing, we also brew several beers. We work on recipe development. You get to work on cellaring the beer, understanding changes in temperature and how to package the beer. And you also go on to keg and can the beers that we make in class. One of the great things about our partnership with Heyday is that those beers that students make and that we package, we turn them over to Heyday and they put them on tap for us. And that gives students a chance to see their beers for sale at a commercial brewery, which definitely brings a challenge. It really helps to inspire the students to try to make something elevated, make some really good beer. And since that beer is on tap at Heyday, Heyday generously makes a donation back to the program from some of the proceeds from those beers. So with commercial craft brewing, you do get a lot of hands-on experience. You do get to see several batches of beer brewed and packaged. And I'd say you walk away with an introduction to things like packaging beer and sanitation, cleaning. We go through all that stuff too. So in your internship, you get a chance to take an introduction to these subjects and a couple of firsthand experiences and really perfect those skills. Our students who go through the internship class end up developing real tangible skills that they can walk away from, things they can add to their resume that they can boast about to future employers. So I've mentioned our advanced courses, Craft Brewing Lab and the Sensory Analysis class. Both of those are great ways for folks who have either taken our commercial brewing class or have already worked in the industry to elevate their experience, and I see them as professional development type classes for people working in the industry. Craft Brewing Laboratory is a great class for anybody who's working in production, who's involved with packaging, cellaring, or brewing beer. And the Craft Brewing Lab class is where we focus on learning how to handle and manage yeast, how to propagate or culture your own yeast in the brewery, how to test the quality of that yeast, and using a microscope to analyze it. We also go through basic quality testing and talk about quality theory. So we learn about where in the brewery, should we be concerned about quality issues and how do we test for that? We do some microbial sampling and get to do some plating and incubation and some other fun activities as well. The sensory analysis class is really good for pretty much anybody working in the industry because it's building a knowledge of the basic styles of beer, the most popular styles of beer and craft beer, as well as understanding the off flavors and flaws in beer, how they're caused, and how we address them. The sensory analysis is based around the Cicerone curriculum. The Cicerone is a program and certifying body that basically acts similar to sommelier for wine. Cicerone is for beer. And so Cicerone has certifications that that attest to the fact that you understand all flavors and you understand styles of beer. It's a very rigorous testing format, and so our sensory analysis training class acts as a test prep for the Cicerone tasting exam. Using their curriculum, we're able to go through about 40 plus different styles of beer so that you understand a little bit about the history of the beer and a lot about the sensory experience of that beer. And then we go through the major off flavors and you learn how to taste for those flavors and how to know when something's wrong with your beer, which maybe isn't always something you want to know, but if you're working in the brewing industry, you want to know how to tell bad beer from good beer and how to fix it. Some other classes we're working on, we're always expanding, trying to offer more professional development and interest class for our students. We're working on a history of beer class where we have some local brewers talk about the history of brewing. We're offering a food and beer pairing class, which is a little more of a fun style class where you can take some of what you learned in sensory analysis training and learn a little bit about combining the culinary and craft beer arts together. And then we're also looking to break into some of the other craft beverage spaces with a wine 101 class that's also geared towards service and hospitality industry. So a little bit more about our work-based learning internship class. So this is really an important part of our program, not just because it wraps up the certificate, and for me is a really a feather in the cap for the students to walk away with that experience and that time spent at a brewery. But why this works and why we do it. The work-based learning program is centered around creating measurable learning outcomes. So the students in the work-based learning internship are basically sort of writing their own script for what they want out of that experience. Students will write their goals based on where they think they want to work in the industry, and it can be as specified or broad as they want it to be. I've had students who make their goal to learn everything. They learn how to manage a bar. They want to experience in production. They want experience in sales. They want to see how management operations works. So, you potentially could get a glimpse at all of those avenues to decide where do you fit in, what works for you, where do you see yourself working in this industry. Other folks may have a better idea of exactly what they want to do, and so they are able to build some hard skills while they're doing their internship, things that can translate directly to placing them in a more advanced position than just entry level. So students will write their measurable learning outcomes, which essentially are goals, but we write these goals in a way that we say um, you can actually demonstrate this skill at the end of your experience. So for a lot of our students, it may be they've learn how to produce wort or make a batch of beer on the brew house and control moving wort through the brew house independently. So that's something they can demonstrate. They can, uh, go to a future brewery employer and say, yeah, I can confidently brew a batch of beer on your brew house. It may take me a couple of days to get used to where everything's situated, but yeah, I've got this, right? So that building those kinds of skills are really valuable for our students, and being able to walk away with 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 a valuable new asset. So and then the fact that you're driving your own experience is really great for our students. It allows you to have some autonomy. It allows you to really dictate where you want to drive your career, what direction you want to go. And I feel that's really important for our students. So they're not just, floating around the brewery. Okay, I'm going to wash some kegs today. Tomorrow, I'm going to clean draft lines. No, it's we're going to have you doing the things that you would be doing if this were your job, and if you as you're learning to work in each part of the brewery, have you get a good mixture of experiences so that you're well rounded coming out of that. So some of the partners that we work with, some of the breweries that participate in our internship program, you probably recognize some of these names. Heyday Brewing is the one I mentioned earlier. That's who we work with next to campus, up at North Campus, off of 401 and 540. We've also worked with Trophy, Raleigh Brewing, Linwood, Bond Brothers, several other Triangle area breweries, and even many of our students who maybe don't live in Wake County. We've also worked with several breweries outside of the Wake County area. We've worked with breweries in Durham, in Warrenton, um, Ocean Isle, Pinehurst, all over the place. So basically, if our interns, which we do have a lot of students who drive from a good bit away, if you live somewhere outside of Wake County and you're wanting to intern with a brewery that's maybe a little closer to home, we can work with them as long as they reach out to us and they request to partner with us to take you on. So it's been really great for us to build a network of these breweries to work with. Not only does it build a network for our students to have reputable breweries to work with, but it also acts as a resource for us as a program also to reach out to these breweries, to participate in the program, to do brew tours, to be guest speakers, and to provide some real world examples for our students and how beer is made and sold in the marketplace. So why does the work-based learning model work? Why does this measurable learning outcome process, how does that help? So for me, what I see, the students are often, because they're in control and they're working on the goals that they've written for the skills they want to build, that allows them to not waste time, right? We're spending maybe 120 to 160 hours in a brewery, and that sounds like a lot of time, but in terms of building some tangible skills that you can walk away with, it's not a lot of time. It's about 3 weeks worth of work. And I would say that in most breweries, you're probably training for closer to like 6 to 10 weeks. So in terms of getting onboarded for working in production. So why does this work? Because students are able to work on their those specific skills that they want to work on. The students who are first time, like entry level into the industry, they benefit from getting a well-rounded experience, getting to see whatever avenues of the industry they want to see, and that's going to help them find a direction that they can stick with, something that they know that they have an aptitude for, rather than just kind of feeling their way through. A lot of folks may start in the brewing industry working as a bar back or a bartender. You may start as a delivery driver or brand ambassador. But when you get into those roles, you don't really know how to navigate to where you want to be. So if you can do an internship, sort of get some of that experience and get to peer through the blinds a little bit to the next level or the other positions, that gives you an idea of where to go. For our folks who have been looking to start a brewery or a bottle shop or something like that, this has given them a chance to do things like see sales numbers and forecasting and what do the margins look like? What kind of point of sale are you using? So the folks who are starting a business get to see the behind the curtain on the business side of brewing so that they can make better decisions right out the gate. And then those who are already working in the industry but are hoping to advance their career, we find a lot of success here because they're given the chance to work on skills that they otherwise wouldn't in their current job. So maybe we have a student who's working on a packaging line at a brewery, and that's probably what, they're probably working on packaging about 90 to 95% of their time. So they may not get to see things like recipe development or work production or even some other forms of packaging. And um, going through this program allows them, maybe even in a different brewery, they can get some experience in the area that they're trying to navigate into, that they're trying to move into. So a little bit more on why work-based learning works, why the measurable learning outcomes are so successful. It's because you're building those skills, as I've said several times now. You're receiving that training directly towards what you want to be doing, and I think one of the really interesting things that students get to do is start to build their own professional network. So this is a huge part of the brewing industry. It's a small industry, but it can sometimes be difficult to break into if you don't have any credentials, if you don't have a network or some kind of education or experience. So what this does is it gives our students a chance to meet people in that brewery. Often as while they're working in that brewery, they get to meet folks in a lot of other breweries and other parts of the brewing network in our local area. And even more important than that, they often get a reference. So after working under a brewer or a director of operations or a production manager, our students are able to get a professional reference from these folks in the brewing industry, and that carries so much weight. As I said just a minute ago, it's a small industry. Everybody kind of knows everybody. So if you can get a reference from another local brewer, someone that other brewers trust, that's huge. That gives you a leg up on so many people, and especially if you're looking to work in the Triangle area and you're wanting to work in this area, that's where this is going to come in very clutch, because having that professional reference in the Triangle area with a trusted brewer is going to put you at the top of the pile and make sure that they consider you. Someone can attest to you working hard and understanding the brewing process and being passionate about beer. That goes, leaps and bounds above what anyone can convey on a resume or in a cover letter. And then the other thing I've also that's really successful about this program that I've already labored about quite a bit is that it helps you find the best position for you. So rather than spending 6 months, a year, a couple of years working in the wrong position in the brewing industry, or even being sort of in the wrong pipeline, the wrong lane, we can get you where you want to be faster. I've had a lot of students who thought that they wanted to work in the brewery, and then as soon as they saw the type of work that they had to do, they saw the production, the physical demands of working in production, They're like, maybe that's not for me, and ended up giving sales a try. And turns out, hey, I've got great people skills, and I understand business, so I make a great salesperson, right? Um, Opposite to that, I've had students who thought that they wanted to go into sales. They were enticed by the hustle and the ability to make some commission money, and they tried sales, hated it, and spent some time interning in the brewery after that, and loved it, and have gone on to have a great career as a brewer. So it just depends on you know where you land, but if we can give you a chance to figure out exactly what you want to do before you're locked into a job, that'll save you and your employer a lot of time, a lot of trouble. So some other success stories that we're going to get into here. We've got several breweries in the Triangle area have been started by folks who have taken classes with us, whether they've taken commercial craft brewing or other classes. Some of these folks have come through our internship program, or have also attended some of our other courses as well. So let's look at some of the students that have come out of our program and were able to find successful employment. This is Jackie. Jackie currently works at Bond Brothers Brewing in Cary, and Jackie was a teacher. She was looking to get out of teaching, had been a bartender, and really fell in love with craft beer. And when she was coming through commercial craft brewing, she showed an interest in exploring a couple of different avenues in craft beer, and really wanted to understand a little bit more about sales, a little bit more about production. And through her experience at Bond Brothers, she did an internship there. She was able to land a job. She landed a job at Star Point in Durham. And then after working there for a spell, she found herself back at Bond Brothers. So this is something that happens quite a lot in our internship program. Is a lot of the employers, the partners that we have, end up hiring students either directly out of their internship or down the road. They already have a rapport. They know that you're a good worker. It's an easy decision for them to give you a call as soon as a position becomes open. And that's worked out fabulously for Jackie. She's been really successful over at Bond. And I heard, talked to her recently. She said that while the head brewer was away, she was running the ship. So I think Jackie was with us about a year and a half ago. And so not even 2 years into a career, she's already got some experience basically being a head brewer. So that's one of our great examples of our students going on to be successful. Here's Chris. Chris opened Local Time in Holly Springs. He came to us wanting to open a brewery, wanting to start a business with his family. And I think that he was already understood that he had a lot to learn about the industry. And the more he could learn, the more informed decisions he could make about opening a brewery. So Chris ended up learning everything grain to glass, and that helped him hire the right people and make a lot of great decisions opening up Local Time. And they've been very successful since. They were named New Brewery of the Year last year in North Carolina. And so hats off to them and Chris and Devin and the team over there for doing a lot of great things. Drew was a student we had, I guess, about a year and a half ago, that was retiring from the military and military contract work, was looking to switch gears. And this is another common type of student that we have. People getting out of a career, getting out of a certain industry, maybe even like kind of a soft retirement. This happens a lot. Folks looking for a change of pace, but they don't want to, quit working altogether. So Drew's in the Pinehurst, Southern Pines area, and wanted to intern nearby. He struck up an internship at Pinehurst Brewing, and they ended up hiring him right out of the internship. And it was a successful transition. He's loved it there. They've treated him so well, and we're great partners for his internship experience. Really, really engaging, really enriching folks down there. And then our last success story is Sean. Sean came through the program a couple of years ago and was one of our first interns in the new version of the internship class, the work-based learning version of the internship class. And Sean brewed and interned at Mackay Brewing. He's now over at New South in Myrtle Beach. So this is a great example of someone who's gone on to continue their career, but also an example of how sometimes our students are traveling from pretty far away, and we do our best to accommodate, especially in commercial craft brewing, having some of the meetings, the lectures on Teams, so that our students don't have to drive all the way out to campus. Folks like Sean have benefited from that and being able to save a little bit of driving time on occasion, and still able to get the education and experience he was looking to get, and grow his career. Now he's a brewer down there in South Carolina. So that's a couple of examples of how our work-based learning class, and specifically our certificate program, helps to provide a pathway for those who are trying to get into the industry. Within our hospitality program division, we have a lot of other similar programs that offer hands-on training, partnerships with local businesses, and even some work-based learning options. So we're under the hospitality and tourism branch of occupational services. And under there, you have culinary and baking certificate and training classes. There's a hospitality certification program that does work-based learning training with local hotels. There's a barista and cafe training program, a bartending class and certificate, I believe, and then a starting a food truck class. So lots of options also in the service and hospitality adjacent industry for folks who are in that space. The brewing industry is very connected to the restaurant, especially food truck scene. So we're very interconnected in terms of offering these different pathways, whether you're wanting to be a bartender, a brewer, a line cook, barista. We've got a lot of different offerings for being able to service your pathway into those careers. So getting back to the brewing classes, when are they available? So this is you're looking at the upcoming classes and kind of what the normal schedule is for a few of these core classes that we offer. Commercial craft brewing will be available again in August. Registration for that will start in late June, and it runs from August to about the second week in December, I think. It's a 16-week class, Tuesday to Thursday night, 6 to 9 p.m. And commercial craft brewing is where most folks will want to start. That is our sort of entry-level grain to glass class. We start at the basics, and we give you everything. We by the end of it, you'll know it all. I promise. And so commercial craft brewing is where most folks will want to start. That begins in August. We're about to start our our craft brewing laboratory class next week. While this is a little bit more of an advanced class, I think anybody who's got some fundamental brewing knowledge would do well in this class. And in fact, most of the time, the class is comprised of students who have taken commercial craft brewing or are currently employed at a brewery. So the craft brewing laboratory class starts next Monday, runs 6 to 9 p.m. is an 8-week class, and that's now open for registration. You can register for that using the link on our Instagram or in our bio or the website. We'll have a link for that in just a minute here. We're also offering the sensory analysis training class again later this summer. I think it starts in June. And that's a really fun one. I was talking about how we learn 40 plus different styles. We learn all the major off flavors. We do a lot of tasting and analysis and discussion, and it's a really enriching class for anybody at any level of the brewing industry, bartending, production, sales, whatever. And then the internship class, that's open year round. We keep that open for any of our students who have completed commercial craft brewing to complete that whenever it's convenient for them. So look for commercial craft brewing in the fall, and if you can't wait till then, I'd highly recommend checking out the sensory analysis class. That's going to be a fun one for getting an introduction into craft beer and learning all about the different styles of beer. Last, I've just got some links here for you. I've got my contact information. If you want to shoot me an email, I am happy to reply to emails, answer any questions that I can about our program, the availability, the types of activities we do, or even if you want to know about what the coursework looks like. And here's some links for you. We've got our website and our Instagram. We try to show off a little bit of what we're doing on Instagram and give the students a shout out when they release new beers. We also, promote our classes and other activities on there as well. And then on our course website, the QR code to the right, you can find links for registration, a little bit more about our classes, and the certificate program, certificate path. One thing I'll say to clarify a little bit about that is all of these classes are essentially a la carte. You can take any of them whenever you want, except for the internship that does require taking commercial craft brewing first. So you can take commercial craft brewing in the fall, and then you can take the internship a year later if you wish. You can take sensory analysis whenever you want. You don't have to enroll in Wake Tech in terms of being a curriculum student. You can register for these classes at any time. So I just want to put that out there for anybody who's considering signing up for an upcoming class. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions that come up now. Yeah, so a link to the recording will be emailed to you. And there's my contact information. Any questions or anything, please reach out to me. I'm happy to respond and chat anytime. And I really appreciate you all coming out this evening and spending some time with us.